Okay, just open the top of the box. You can see how it comes. It comes very well packaged. Everything is in here securely, cable tied together so there's no rubbing. Things are in plastic bags to protect them. There's also the foam wrap around them. You can see how this bar was probably hitting against the top of the box, but underneath it's well protected. Even has an additional piece of rubber hose over it. So this looks great. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the battery now. Okay, I pulled out the battery box and I've split open the side here. And this is what it looks like packaged and in the box. Very nicely done. Okay, so I've removed the boxes from the big box. You've got the battery that came in one box, and this other box, oh, this is fun. In here, there's a box that contains the charger, which I believe is a 3-amp charger. Look at this, a complimentary hat. Perfect baseball cap. This is really fun. Pair of white gloves. I don't know what to do with that, but maybe some Michael Jackson moves later. We've also got the pedals, the light in here. It's like the owner's manual, and this little bag. Let's see what's in it. Wow, now that's a tool bag. So unlike the competitors that maybe send something that looks like this little tool, you get an actual bag of tools here to assemble your bike with. I think that'll come in handy because I know when I was assembling some pedals on my other bike that they didn't send any kind of wrench that was worth anything. And most of my open-end box end wrenches, they actually were too wide to fit in there. So this is perfect to put pedals on with. Okay, so the battery is the first thing I pulled out of the box, and I checked that, and looks like it's actually fully charged. Maybe that doesn't need charge today then. Okay, unpacking can be fun. Just to get you some scissors, diagonals, something like this, and just start cutting all these cable ties and removing all of the padding. Okay, as you unpackage it all, you're gonna find the keys are actually just cable tied to the handlebars. And this was interesting. It looks like the front fork assembly has something about warranty on it from Zoom. So I've heard of Zoom brakes. Maybe the front fork assembly is a Zoom assembly. Okay, one more thing I just noticed here on the stem, there is the handlebar clamp, but if you look at your front forks, this U here is facing forward and this clamp is facing backwards. So that's gonna have to just be loosened up and spun around before putting the handlebars on. The handlebars will just go right up there then and connect to that. So spin the clamp around on the front stem. They provide the tool in the toolkit, and you can just tighten these bolts up and tighten in place. It was still loose, so it was easy to turn. Okay, there were just 4 bolts here to take this clamp apart, and they provided the tool again that you need. Next, you're gonna wanna get the handlebars up here. Now look at the side where there's a brake line going around the side of the forks. That's the side that you're gonna wanna bring the handlebars up from. So I'm gonna reach over there, bring them around from that side, and then we're gonna figure out how exactly these go up here and on the bike. So they're gonna go in this position here. Let me zoom out. And something like that. Now I'm gonna get the other side of the clamp and the 4 bolts and secure it in place. Note that the display screen may be twisted downward or a different direction. That's okay, you can put it where you need it and then tighten up the screws underneath. So as you attach the handlebars, take note that you don't have the front wheel on the bike yet. So when you look at that rear rack, it's angled downward. Go ahead and put your handlebars on in such a way that these brake levers are angled downward some too. So when the bike gets up with the wheel on it, everything will kind of level out for you. Next up, we're going to install the front wheel. Now this front wheel had a protective plastic disc on the other side of it. I've already removed that. This side has got a protective cap. You're going to want to remove that. It might be tough to pull out. I put some pliers on it to remove it. And then we go over here to the bike, and we're going to want to get this loose from here. There's the quick release mechanism. So we'll be able to loosen these up and pull this bolt loose enough that we can take that off and put the wheel in place. It's gonna be a bit of a balancing act, so I'm not gonna record this. Okay, so you take loose and pull out this front skewer or front axle bolt. This is the order things go back together, so you're gonna wanna leave the spring on this side over here. When we put this one back on from the other side, we'll put the small portion of the spring inward and then put the nut on the outside, get that a little bit tight, and then actually use the lever over here to tighten it up the rest of the way. This should lift up off of here now. We'll put the wheel under it. Want to make sure that we insert the wheel onto these little parts that are sticking out. Make sure you get the disc of the brake over here on the side where the brake caliper is. Some of these calipers come with spacers in them. I think this one did here, so I'm going to have to remove the spacer. before I can assemble this. When you remove the spacer from this brake caliper, you do not want to go up and press the handlebar brake lever, because then those pads will kind of stick together and won't have room. So make sure you don't go push that handle while this is out. You want to get the brake rotor into place there before you ever push that brake handle. Okay, so I just stood up and I straddled the wheel, lifted up on the whole stem handlebar assembly, placed it on here while making sure to get the brake rotor placed as properly as possible into the caliper there. It's got to slide right in. Once that all goes in place, it just falls down into place, and now we'll insert the skewer and get the kickstand so it'll hold it up. Okay, here it is with the front wheel installed. As you can see, we've got the quick release lever over here on this side. It is in such an orientation, it's on the left-hand side of the bike when you're sitting on the bike, or the non-drive side of the bike. This should be tightened up in such a way like it's aligned with the fork here. Pushes in far enough that it's not going to catch on anything, and it's going to be very secure. Next, we're going to install the front fender on the bike, and we're going to install the headlight at the same time. The fender has this mounting bracket here that's going to come up to the top center bolt up here. We'll remove that bolt and nut that's loosely in place, attach it there along with the headlight. We're going to put it on the front side behind the head of that bolt. So all of these things will secure together there. The lower brackets on this fender are going to mount here on the sides. So you're going to want to put those brackets just on the outside of the bracket here, put the wire on the outside with this screw through it. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So here's the light and the top edge of the fender attached with that bolt. They include the tools you need to secure this. Just note that when you're putting this nut on, it's a nylock nut, so it's going to be kind of hard to turn into the bolt. And there's also blue Loctite on the bolt. So both of those are going to help it stay secure and not wiggle loose. This is a nice little light assembly. It actually included this mirror or reflector underneath it, as well as a reflector up here on the handlebar. So that's 2 reflectors from the front. It's a pretty good deal. Okay, here's the left side attaching that front fender stay. They say in the email they send you to check all the bolts on the bike, so it's a good idea not only just to tighten this one you've just inserted, but tighten the one that goes into the bracket as well. Make sure they're all secure. Okay, as you can see, these side wire stays from the front fender come up here. They insert underneath this bolt, and you should have the lock washer, the flat washer on the outside. Then you'll have the wire stay that goes to the fender, and it screws right into the bracket. And you can use the Allen key or hex wrench that they sent in the toolkit. Okay, next we're going to connect the headlight to the wiring. You're going to find one wire extension that's loose and is not hooked up to anything. When connecting these together, make sure you align the arrows that are printed onto these black pieces. Line those 2 arrows up and then push this connector together completely. And a total connection will look like that. The red's no longer showing. Finally, with the headlight installed, you can reach over here and peel off the protective film from the... So this bike comes with the rear fender and rear rack already in place. I've noticed other brands don't always do that, but still, take your wrench and double check that these bolts are tight that hold your rack on. Also, the bolts are tight that are holding your rear fender in place. Up next, we're going to install the pedals onto this crank set. They will go into these holes here. Get your pedals out of the box. Oh look, I forgot to put on the Michael Jackson gloves. It's okay. Nothing seems very greasy or like you would need them. Now these are going to be labeled, as you can see here, right and left. And they do thread in different directions. So make sure you put the right one on the right side of the bike as if you're sitting on the bike. Okay, so this right side pedal threads on just like any normal bolt that threads, turning clockwise to tighten it in place. Then you're going to want to find the wrench that fits that one right there, 15 millimeter, and tighten it down. Now don't take for granted, not every open-end box-end wrench is thin enough to fit behind the pedal and tighten it down, so don't lose these wrenches. They come in very handy. Now we grab the pedal that's labeled with an L on it, and we come to the left side of the bike. And this is the one that's going to screw in a little differently because it actually is going to turn counterclockwise to thread it in place. So just turning the pedal like this won't always thread it in place. You may have to actually get back here at the back and turn that portion of the pedal threaded bolt. And then tighten that in again with your 15 millimeter open end wrench. Wow, this has come together really quickly. Last things you're going to want to do is come over here and tighten up things like this left bank of switches that adjust your pedal assist, has the power on. You're also going to want to tighten your bell in place. It's loose. Tighten this front reflector in place and make sure that the handlebars are at a good angle and level for you. Okay, this next step before we put the battery on and go riding, we're going to inflate the tires. The sidewall of the tires here, which are very nice, indicate a maximum of 30 psi and a minimum of 5. So quite a range there. You inflate to what you feel comfortable with. I'm going to inflate mine up to probably 25, 28 pounds because I'm very heavy and I would not want to pinch the tubes. Okay, I just aired up both tires. I really felt like 25 psi was plenty of air pressure in them. They're very firm. I think they'll do great and be pretty fast, which is what I'm looking for, mainly to ride this on road. There might be a little bit of trail riding. All right, here is the charger that came with the bike. This is an amazing charger. This is a branded Magicycle charger. It is a 3 amp hour rated charger, which is better than many of the others, as many of them are only rated for 2 amp hours. It says it can pull up to 4 amps max. This also has a built-in fan. That is way better than what we see from many of the competitors. Typically what you're gonna get from some of the competitors is just one of these that does not have any kind of built-in fan, and they're only rated at 2 amps. Okay, so the battery for this bike is pretty heavy. You just want to come in from the left side of the bike. You want to stick it down into the bottom. Right up here, you're going to see where it slides across, and it just clicks and locks into place. All right, here it is, guys, the new Magicycle. This is the Pro version of the Step-over Cruiser, the 52 volt with the new hub motor that produces more torque, and it is fully assembled. The battery is installed and it is ready to go and ride. We'll cover that in a different video, but here you can see what it looks like with the screen or display turned on. It looks very nice. I like the color a lot. It's a beautiful color. Came very, very well packaged, and the assembly was super easy, easier than their competitor's bike. The rear rack already being installed, rear fender installed. It just was more ready. So thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also look in the description below for a link to go and purchase and look at all the Magicycle models. Thanks.